Oh, good morning. Good morning, Roland.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Okay, wait, hang on. I take back good morning, Roland. Good morning, boys. That's how he described
Good
you
morning,
guys.
boys.
Yeah,
I don't mind being described as a boy.
part.
I don't mind being described as a boy. Keeps me young. Good morning. It's nice to see you all.
Yeah.
Resplendent in your morning attire.
Yeah. It's the final funeral rites, the burial rites. There are other 2 church services, but I'm not sure it's entirely open to everybody. I'm sure that will be more enclosed.
Yes, for Roland and you and the other.
So today the
dignitaries.
burial rites of our late former Vice President Parkwesi Bekwing Emisa Arthur. It would be at the Accra International Conference Center plus the State House. So there's a lot of room for every person, I think, who wants to be there today. They set up lots of tents yesterday, so we will be there this morning, to gauge the mood and also to report what we see at the conference center.
Yeah, but right now I think we need to report what we see in the newspapers. And where do we begin? Mama
That's
B,
not
do you want
Daily Guide, you have the guide.
Yeah, okay.
Shoot.
Daily Guide banner headline: Wicked in quote, cop caged for assaulting woman. And this, of course, is about the incident that occurred at Midland Savings and Loans. Also, truck kills girl in Ashaiman. Judge angry over JB killer's trial delay. IGP interdicts flogging police commander, and tears flow for Mr. Arthur. It was rather sad and very touching yesterday to see all of those mourners, walking past his body and obviously remembering their own experiences with him and the many ways in which he touched their lives. And it's amazing to see after when a person is being celebrated, a person who was generally quiet is being celebrated, and the stories of all the great things he's done in people's lives start to come out. It just makes you appreciate him all the more. Right, so wicked cop caged. This is on page 3. And of course, this is the police officer who brutally assaulted a woman carrying a baby at the Shiashi branch of Midland Savings and Loans in Accra. He's been remanded into custody by an Accra Circuit Court. Lance Corporal Goji Frederick Amano is the one we're talking about, popularly known as Scala. Now, he's actually pleaded not guilty.
Yeah.
Yes, and so I suppose when we talk about what he did, we need to remember to add allegedly.
Yeah.
So yes, he was seen on a video allegedly assaulting the woman,
but what's
allegedly
interesting
slapping
is
her.
that the police prosecutors told the court that in the caution statement they took from him when he was arrested, he admitted to the offense in the caution statement.
Yes.
And he came to court and he ended up saying that he's not guilty.
He's not guilty.
So
Okay.
it means that the trial have to travel its full course. The prosecutors would have to prove their case, bring in witnesses to show what actually happened. But another additional information that came up is that 2 bank officials, they've been named as one Kuko and one Shelley. They were the ones who instructed the police officer to remove her, in simple terms, from the premises, and that was what he was trying to do that led to that situation. So
if he had removed her, that would certainly not have been a crime.
but the manner.
If he had arrested her, that would not have been a crime either. I suppose the judge will have to determine whether what we saw in the video was a removal.
Yeah.
Have they admitted
arrest.
the video though?
No, this is just the arraignment that took place. So just the charges and plea. That's all for now. So I think it returns early, first week in August. I think we go back and hopefully the trial will commence on that day. If the prosecutors are ready to commence trial.
I know there are there are quite a number of people who said, "Oh, but we've seen the video, so why put us through this whole? Why not just say guilty?"
Well, it doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
all.
I mean, first, the video itself needs to be admitted. I mean, once it's admitted, from layman's view, I can even think of many defenses that they can put up. And that's why it makes sense for him to plead not guilty. Because if he had pleaded guilty yesterday, they would have convicted him on his own plea.
That's
and if
right.
the judge is ready to hand the sentence, they would have handed it there and then.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you may understand why people rather want to delay it, let the trial go the full course. You never know what may happen. We've seen cases where, not only prosecutor, we've heard about cases where the case had been dismissed for want of prosecution, simply because the prosecutors are not forthcoming to court. So all those are options that people want to.
Anything and everything is possible. So we keep our fingers crossed.
Indeed. And of course, also on page 3, government saves $400 million from new Ameri deal. And there are details here. Under this new agreement, a new company, Mytilenius International Trading Company, will take over the management of the Ameri power plants for 15 years. But we've already heard ASEP, the energy watchers, discuss several reasons why they are not taking it for granted that this is an improvement. In fact, the most important argument they are making is that the power from Ameri will be surplus for most of the next 15 years. So are we actually getting value for money? You may be arguing that you're getting a deal cheaper than the previous one, which you will still have to prove, really. But even if you are you still getting value for money, bearing in mind...
So it's more or less like spending so much to cut down a supposed cost that it's not really necessary because we have enough capacity now. We don't need America. Exactly.
And that's you see, again, it goes back to our biggest headache as a nation, failure to plan. Every other country that I'm aware of knows what their energy needs are and have planned them for the next 20, 30 years. They know how much power they will need every decade going forward. They've calculated this based on important details like population growth, which we in Ghana seem to be having a rather, superficial
I think
debate over.
We're now focused. It's three children per family. It's one of the...
Well, actually, what the recommendation was not 3 children per family. The recommendation is that we bring down the fertility rate to 3 per family. Now, that doesn't mean you make a law that says have 3 children and stop.
There's no law, but
no.
I think...
Yes, what it means is that you create the environment so that it is in people's interests to have fewer children if they can't afford to look after them. You understand? So whatever the state will provide you to help you look after your children, if you have more than 3 children, then the extra ones don't get it.
So you're talking about the social interventions, like the PSHS, health insurance.
Exactly.
If you go beyond 3, the 4th child
is how you control population. You don't do it by passing a law saying you can only have 3 children. So the people who are debating it, saying, oh, media, I only want to have... honestly, I wonder what they think is being said by the Population Council. But anyway, back to power. We don't have a plan, as usual.
But you know, the minister was, those interesting communities, Roland, you've heard it, those communities who have not been connected to the grid.
If
you're going to have surplus like Kojo is saying, we should connect
maybe those communities, Cherenso and others might...
how about we hear the MP whose area this is say the way he did in his presentation before Parliament.
Yeah, I want to watch
So here we go, because I haven't watched it. I've only heard it on radio, so let's watch it.
To ask the Minister for Energy whether the ministry has plans to provide off-grid electricity to the following communities in the Abrim constituency, which are difficult to be connected to the national grid. Chirahantan, Penyinso. Echenim Nyansa. Hey! Koti Abua. Hey! Swaya Mobo. Hey! Achitrisu. I now understand why the honorable member from Abrim belongs to a happy lot. For coming from a constituency with such names, you can only be happy. Mr. Speaker, for the communities in the Abrim constituency, namely Chirahantan, Chinyinso, Echenim Nyansa, Koti Abua, Shwaya Mobo, and indeed that is so.
So the MP basically, the basic question was that, or the rationale was that the MP was asking the question, naming those communities as to not having electricity.
And asking,
right,
and
when they'll
asking
be
the energy
connected.
minister when they will be connected.
Exactly.
And
It
then-
was one of the many questions posed to the minister. The reason he was in Parliament to give answers.
That's right.
Yeah.
And indeed, that is so.
And indeed, that
So
is
I
we-
love that.
We
No.
hope they are connected to the grid. I mean, once they are
Oh, it
connected,
has to
then
wait
they-
a while longer. We want those names
gosh.
again in Parliament. Oh, why were the parliamentarians laughing?
Oh, why were you laughing? Why are you still laughing?
Laughing because the MPs were laughing. They paved the way, you know?
But wow, I mean,
Alright.
immediately I'm thinking of what went into the naming of these communities. I'm imagining perhaps some divorced couple seeking to throw insults at each other with the names of the towns in which they finally settled.
That sounds plausible.
probably, yeah, you know, picked names like this. But how amusing!
Yeah.
How amusing!
All right, shall we
Yeah,
move on to the
let's
graphic?
do that.
All right. The Daily Graphic newspaper, front page of the graphic, Ghanaians mourn former vice presidents. So there's an insert there on the front page of the paper that you see in the bed, a long queue of mourners waiting to file past the body of former Vice President Kwesi Bekwing Emisa Arthur at the Accra International Conference Center yesterday. We know today there will be a burial service, and then later on he'll be buried at the Burma camp. Truck runs into traders, 1 killed, 6 injured, and court chides prosecution for delaying JB trial. Let's go to page 3 on the story. A truck loaded with cement blocks ran into a group of traders at Ashaman near Tema yesterday, leading to the death of 1 person, while 6 others sustained various degrees of injury. We've got that video. We'll be playing it so that you kind of understand. But it ended up in the death of a 21-year-old, a girl who had completed JHS and was living SHS rather, was living with her auntie. So her name has been given as Love Achu 21, and she was running an errand that morning when the truck ran into her and killed her. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I've seen the video. I mean, on social media.
Yeah.
It's bad. I've seen the unedited one, and I mean, okay. So those are some of the videos in our shots.
Yeah. So we're told that the truck was trying to maneuver its way through, you know, and then there was
Clearly
a brake
veered off the road.
failure, veered off his lane and ran the truck into traders who were selling along the streets. So the truck was carrying cement blocks from the Mandela Park at Ashaman to the Ashaman main lorry station when its brakes failed. Roland is very familiar with the Mandela Park and then the main lorry station. So can you describe the stretch?
So the incident happened where? The Mandela Park? From Mandela Park
from
to where?
Mandela Park to the Ashaman lorry station.
Okay.
So on the way, we're told that this, you know, there are a lot of people who sell along the road.
Yeah, there are lots of people who sell along the road. It's actually close to the markets. So it's just...
The main Ashaman market.
Yeah, so just outside the precincts of the market. So it means that, well, we can't describe them as maybe squat, I don't know, hawkers. Yeah, because some of them have stores or perhaps
In
places
there,
that they
but
trade
they
in
just
there,
come
they
and set
come
up
and trade
outside.
there,
Yeah, I'm familiar with that scene. You see that in the main business districts.
Yes.
Even if you go to Malata, you
the
find
big,
that.
the
yeah.
bigger markets.
Yeah.
And Ashaiman seems to be like a hub for many of the places in the Dangbe areas, the Northern Volta, those places. So they all come to trade.
Yeah.
Because people come to buy things up to Tema, Lashibi.
Really sad.
So essentially, the market has spilled over onto the pavement. Am I right?
Yes. This year, I think the Kufuor administration, they appointed some new MCs and all that. Alongside some others, he was one of those who tried doing some work in terms of
Decongestion
sacking.
exercise.
Yes. And then I know for a fact, some big men spoke to him to stop.
So he gave up.
Yes. I think Medina too was involved. And I know even some other big men also spoke to those municipal heads to stop.
It's so sad that we still live in a society where...
So they occupy the road in such a
our
way that
leaders
if
can
you were
become-
going, you can't even get access.
Yeah.
But it's a pity that we still live in a society where our leaders can be convinced to do the wrong thing by big men. You know, it's very sad because this is the effect. This is the effect of it. People die, you know, when our leaders fail, take decisions to consciously do the wrong thing. You know, and this thing about hawkers, look, clearly, the economic drivers are very strong in poor countries. Look, we will do anything for money. This morning on the news, we are already reporting that those who sell there, those who the truck plowed into, those who survived, are back selling again.
Yeah.
Same spot this morning.
Yeah.
You know, so death is less of a motivator, or fear of death is less of a motivator than the desire for money.
Yeah.
We're told that some of the injured persons would need plastic surgery. They're being treated at the Terman General Hospital. On page 20, though, court chides prosecution for delaying JB trial. So the magistrate court hearing the case of the two men linked with the murder of a deceased legislator, JB Dankwa Edu, has chastised the prosecution for unduly delaying the case. Quotes, if you can treat an MP like this, what will happen to the ordinary person on the streets? It has been almost 3 years since this incident happened, and you are still delaying, unquote. This was the magistrate's Miss Aritz Nsemo, as she lamented in court yesterday. She poured out her sentiments at the Accra Central District Courts after the police prosecutor, DSP George Amaga, had prayed for an adjournment with an explanation that the police were still waiting the AG's advice on the case.
Yeah, they've been waiting for more than 7 months now. I recall 2 days ago, lawyer for one of the accused persons, that's Daniel Esiedu, Augustine Obo, made an application for bail. And his argument was that his client had been in custody for more than 24 months, and it was obvious that the trial, the state was not serious about making any progress. And the response from the state prosecutor, George Amegan, was that, I mean, they were still investigating the matter. So the judge actually handed them 6 months. Now, this is someone who died like almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think it's a fair point for the magistrate to say that this is an MP killed more than 2 years ago, and the police at this stage are asking for 6 more months to investigate. You wonder what exactly they are investigating.
The story filed, Emmanuel Ebo-Hoxing also asked a certain question, which I think is really important. It says delay or due process. So we'll leave the rest for you to read on. Is on page 20. Just beneath that, though, is the announcement that the minimum wage has gone up by 10% from 9.68 Ghana cedis to 10.65 Ghana cedis, representing a 10% upward review. The new wage will take effect from January 1, 2019. Okay, so whatever that means to you, that's the announcement in the paper today. There are some tributes by Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlins, tribute in honor of His Excellency Parkwesi Bekwing Emisa Arthur, also by Apostle Jude Hammer. So some prominent persons paying tribute to the late former Vice President. That's also in the paper today. Center spread, well, is more on Ghanaians mourning former Vice President. There are many other stories in the Daily Graphic newspaper today.
You can take a look at the Finder, the front page of the Finder. It says, fresh row over Ameri, government to save $400 million in a reviewed deal. Minority disagrees and says new deal to double the price. Ghanaians pay their last respects to Emisa Arthur. I also have national daily minimum wage up 10%, and shisha smoking dangerous to health, according to Dr. Srebo. And I'm interested in that story. Page 4. You should listen to this.
Yes,
Kojo, I think you should be interested too.
No.
It says the director.
Is that do you guys inhale that? Do you smoke
shisha?
That? Do you?
I haven't inhaled.
The way it says pay attention, could you pay attention?
Well, because I like interesting stories about health.
Pay attention.
Okay, no, fine, go ahead.
Pay attention.
I think it's just for general knowledge.
Joseph is obviously paying attention. It says the director of the National Cardiothoracic Center, Dr. Lawrence Srebo, has warned the public, especially the youth, against the smoking of shisha. He said although smokers find the smoking of shisha fashionable, it is very dangerous to their health, indicating that smoking shisha for 1 hour is equivalent to smoking 100 sticks of cigarettes.
Wow.
1 hour, 100 sticks of cigarettes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Have you smoked shisha before?
Never. Have you?
I wonder how it feels though. Like I don't know. I know some people are crazy about it, and the fact that it goes round, like, is one thing, and everybody is I don't know, sniffing the same
Smoking
thing.
is actually...
Yeah, but we know where the origin is. It's the Arabian countries.
Yes.
Notably the Gulf regions, and I think the whole of the Arabian countries you find.
But
Now it's spread out all over. It's become a fashion.
Yeah,
you have
it's
the
become fashion.
containers and the pipes
It's become
being
a
sold.
lifestyle. That is what is worrying.
Yeah. I think over time, I think they put something inside to give them that.
I have no idea what is in there.
I've not tasted it before, so I don't know.
But it's called shisha.
Shisha.
So it makes me
What
think
does
of
that mean?
hashish.
No, I think
I'll have to do some research.
I think it's
I don't actually know what's in it.
I think it's an Arabian kind of.
Well, the story actually said shisha originates from the Middle East and certain areas of Asia, but has become very popular in Ghana.
Yeah. I bet there are people who are inhaling that who have no idea why they are even doing it. They're doing it
For
because
example,
others
when
are doing
all
it.
those trips that they go to Dubai for, I mean, when you go for some of the sections on the desert, you get to have a feel of it. Yeah, so maybe perhaps now that we're reading it,
Well,
I haven't been to.
Do they
those
make it
desert
in Ghana or do they import it?
It's imported. I think now when you go to the big malls now, they have the containers.
They
now.
they should slap a nice little sin tax on it.
Exactly. That would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But imagine if you earn 9,500 cedis a month, and they've just increased your minimum wage. Okay, no, it's minimum wage that has increased, not everybody's salary. Okay, that's fine then. But a lot of people are going to
100 sticks in an hour is scary. I don't think an addicted smoker can take 100 sticks,
100
even
sticks
in
in
a day.
an hour. Except
In an hour.
No, in a day, yes.
In a day, you can have somebody do that.
100
They will
sticks,
not
yes,
know
yes.
they're doing 100. But
No.
those who are addicted are
there
seriously
are people
addicted.
who smoke 4 packs a day. How many sticks in a pack? So yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
All right.
I think that's it. That's it for the final.
Okay, let's read some messages before we get ready for the others. This person says, I don't know why it is me. Mama V, I still don't understand why the male organs were insulted whilst women's own praised. I actually don't know. And the minister says, indeed, it is so. Gender bias, pioneer, is from Buenya David.
Indeed, it so was for the fact that they are not connected to the
No. Who told you that's what he meant?
That's what he meant.
This person says, I have heard more amusing names at please read.
Hey.
Read it, eh?
Okay. This one says, the first one is Pharmacy Akotum. That's the first one. Hey, the second one, no, let me pass it on.
What is this? Is
We
this
need
shisha?
an MP.
Okay, so I have heard more amusing names. A pharmacy Akotum.
Don't repeat. Move on.
If you can't, you can just
We
pass
have to
it on.
cross-check, eh?
Besimi Krim.
Are you sure these are real towns?
Charlie,
Woman no
are you
good
not
corruption.
just
Oh,
about-
no, there are others. So you haven't heard.
okay, listen, I think we have to go back.
But
This
there are
is-
reasons
This is
why.
for social studies? Yeah.
So we passed your phone like it's shisha. I'm not smoking.
Let's
Thank
take
you.
to the newspapers. Let's do the Daily Dispatch, Roland.
Okay, so we do the Daily Dispatch. It has one of the topical issues or stories around. Kenu Fayata is realistic. Free SHS is unsustainable. Abang Bagbin. And yesterday, some of the media houses accosted him at the Foul Pass yesterday, and he made mention of some. At least he couldn't move away from the comments, as they are currently topical. And then the other story, we have double track. Free SHS is disadvantageous. And on, even though government insists that the president has made 2 public comments on this already. Yeah. So it means that he's serious about it. Mumpo.
Yes, this is the problem. This is why I'm concerned. Because we all want the thing to work. That's why we're talking about it. But if you're talking to those whose job it is to make it work, and they insist that they won't listen to you, we're concerned.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. Yeah. The president ought to, if he really is hinging all of his fortunes on the free SHS, then he needs to listen so that it works for him and for all of us. Okay, do we want to have a look at the Herald very quickly? Okay, so Akufo-Addo and family raid energy sector. Parliament rubber stamps ECG, Amiri power away. ASEP cries in frustration. Interestingly, there are these 2 pictures on the front page of people meeting with the officials of Amiri. So in the first picture, it's Freddie Blake, and I believe he's the current ambassador to Nigeria, Rashid Bawa, meeting
Who
with
was a former...
He used to be a minister to, an
MP and a
former ambassador to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
But he's currently ambassador to Nigeria, and he's in this picture with Freddie Blay, who is the chairman of the party, with some Ameri officials. And then in the other picture, you can see Gabia Sariochri Dakon, you can see Boachi Jakun, the minister, Bumpty, the president's brother, and lawyer Siang, in a meeting with Ameri officials who came to Ghana, according to the Herald. But I think what is interesting here is that in these two pictures, the only government official with locus to deal with Ameri
such business
is Boachi Jakun. So it does make you wonder
in what capacity are
the others, perhaps moral support and friendship.
Could be that they all met at a common.
Well, the second image looks like
space.
The first one you can see a common space, but the second image it looks like
a
meeting.
Yes.
So this is an office setting.
That's the second image.
Why don't we bring it up? Yeah.
The first image, you can say maybe a common space, but for the other one it's more.
Is that like the MPP manifesto?
Can we
I see
zoom in on
something.
those pictures? Let's have a closer.
Is that
look.
the MPP manifesto?
Maybe they are
on
pricing
the
them of what their energy policy will be.
Yes.
Not their energy, Ghana's energy policy.
Well, I think it's also important when this was taken. So,
Yes.
But do you know for
because
certain
before
whether
the election,
those are actually Ameri officials?
right
or,
after when the transition was still ongoing, there were committees that had been formed.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
So, for example, there was a committee formed to look into the Ameri deal and see about renegotiating it. The committee was headed by Philip Addison.
Dr. Philip Addison.
He's a PhD. Okay,
Yeah.
yes, Dr. Philip Addison. And you remember there were some stories of them being flown out to Dubai. There was an allegation that they were given money for shopping
Because there's also
and so
Emmanuel
forth.
Chematin Jakon.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
The concern
that
was
thing
that
came up.
Ameri footed that particular
That's
travel
right,
expense.
which creates a conflict of interest if that is indeed true. But I struggle to recall what their defense was. Clearly, there was a defense.
Whichever way, I think we got over it, like we do with a lot of other things.
And at least they are moving away from Ameri now, so it means that
the new one is what?
Is it
But they are not moving away from America.
Is it
What they've done is
Mighty?
they have basically restructured the deal,
And I'm
so
told
that there is a new player involved.
the thing we're told, especially when you listen to ASAP, is that after 2 years, I think it was build, operate, and transfer, so we would have
Owned
transferred
it.
to 2 years. So we can decide to do. But now, with the current negotiation, we've asked them to take over the plant, operate it for the next 15 years.
Yeah, and I guess you know why. I mean, simple thing, because the money, they are paying Ameri some money.
They're paying
to
52
get Ameri off government is paying the rest.
160,
So the person who is paying that amount of
560.
money, he needs to operate the plant to recover the
Yeah,
money.
but we're told that
No,
if
but
you
in this case, it will not become the property of Ghana.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the reason
after
why. I'm
15
talking about the reason why the boot has been extended, because the individual who is helping you part away
Offset.
offset that.
So
part
the individual
to
is
make the
paying
money
this
back.
over
Yeah.
52 million to government, and then government will pay Ameri 39 million out of that.
Yes.
Right.
So the 52 million, that person needs his 52
Needs
million
to
back.
recoup it over 15
And that is
years.
how come you can't end the boot now. You need to give him time to make that money. So I guess I understand why ASAP they are raising all those concerns.
Yes, ASAP obviously doesn't quite get the value of this investment.
Yeah.
We'll be paying all this money back for basically what is surplus to our current requirements.
But we understand the
what
Mines and
ultimately
Energy
will be
Committee-
surplus.
Well, it currently is, so it will only become more and more surplus, won't it?
As a time.
Yeah, but it's interesting to consider the fact that we don't seem, like I was saying earlier, we don't seem to have a plan. We don't seem to know what our energy needs will be, in the coming years.
Is that not why we set up for ourselves the planning ministry?
Yeah, actually,
I had
I'm
the
trying to
planning
get
minister, and I had actually forgotten that we
He was
I think could you
that
ask to find him?
existed.
Could you ask-
I've been trying to,
I was I surprised myself. I was like, do we have a plan?
He's a very nice gentleman,
Yeah.
a professor, and I've been trying to get in touch with him. I have a feeling there's a lot we can learn from speaking to him. So I'm trying. Good morning, Prof. I know you.
I think the first question I asked myself when I heard him on radio was, so was this double track planned? You know, or unless the planning is a bit different from...
Well, if we are to believe Prof. Ade, it wasn't planned. It's an emergency situation that came up, and they found an emergency solution to
we
it.
had a planning ministry before we announced that we are going to implement free SHS.
Thank you.
So if that is why we had a planning ministry. They're supposed to plan short term, medium term, long term.
Let's see some of your messages.
So sorry, if you don't mind, just a quick touch on this ban on fishing, which according to Oko van der Poy, will affect the Homo War Festival. He's concerned that the fisher folk in the area will not be able to earn their keep over the month of August. And this debate, so he's calling for government to have another look at it. But I think one thing we need to understand is that the science is incontrovertible. You either do the ban in August or you're wasting time. Okay. No, that's what the committee told the government. Okay. It just so happens that my dad is the chair of the committee. But he said this to government in 2015. So they've known about this for
Can I host him?
Sure. He'll be happy to speak to you.
Okay, cool.
Host him.
I will host him. I didn't say he should. I said, can I host him?
Okay.
But how
can you send Roland instead?
No, I want to.
Oh dear. All right. So so the science is incontrovertible. There's no need debating it.
I don't
mind. But I think the problem is the problem is that the government did not properly communicate this in a way that would allow for the fisher folk to planning.
I think for me, again, just like this double track, I think it came like suddenly. Like I just heard the minister say it, and that was it.
And it should not have been, since this committee has been advising government for many years now.
Let's read some of your messages. This one says, thank you, Jehovah, for adding another year to Mr. Rudolph Kojo Mante's life. Happy birthday, boss. We're fully behind you. We aren't quitting until we quench the deal come 2020. And it's from Alex Kojo Bensa, not Kaneshi. And it's wishing you, Rudolph Kojo Mante, happy birthday today. This one says, good morning to y'all. My day is incomplete without watching you. Abdullah Abdul Razak, General Lameshugo in Tamale. It's been a while since I read your message. This one says, why is it that the police officer was not given bail for assault, but robbery case given bail? Do you understand this message?
I get it, but all offences currently are bailable. Per the Pebu versus Attorney General case, all offences are bailable. There was no application in this particular scenario, so you need to make the application, and the judge, using his own discretion, will decide whether to grant bail or not. So there was no application, so that's it. Okay.
All right. Maybe a last one. Do we have? We can go online and check out what's on myjoyonline.com and then the BBC as well. Somebody's sending a scam alert, but when you send these messages, I want to take my time and read it to understand before I share it on air. But this one from James Doji Kujo says, I think the police training should be extended because their professionalism is at stake. The 6 months is too short. James sending this message from the Western region. Kojo, you have a conversation with the IGP that we're playing back.
Very fascinating conversation in which he talks about police training. And he actually intends to implement an arrangement where you have to have a first degree before you'll be accepted into the police force.
Even to become an order rank?
Yes.
Not an officer?
Yes.
I have okay, so is that as a result of the many unprofessional behavior that we've seen some police officers exhibit?
The impression I got from him is that it is something he has wanted to do for a while, and that these recent events have made him feel it's even more important he do so. Now, let's be clear, there will always be bad nuts. So even if you raise the thing to professorship, there will still be some people who will come along and do the wrong thing. Sure. But the idea here is to just generally increase the quality of policing. And he believes that if he limits the acceptance qualification to degree and above, it will generally increase the quality of the police force.
Details of that conversation right after sport here on the AM show. Yao Bonsi in New Abrim. Thank you very much. Of course, we're mourning our late former vice president who will be buried later today. Stay with us. We've got sports coming your way. After that, we'll bring you that conversation with the Inspector General of Police.